This is the Stars and Stripes in 7, your online source for editorially independent news and information for the U.S. military community. I'm Lamont Easter. The U.S. military is tracking a Russian spy ship in the Pacific Ocean near Hawaii. U.S. Indo-Pacific Command spokesman Major Rob Martin said the Russian vessel was operating in international waters just outside Hawaii's economic exclusion zone. In May, the U.S. reported a Russian spy ship lingering about 156 miles off the Hawaiian island of Kauai, where the military operates a missile testing range. The Indo-Pacific Command is headquartered in Hawaii and oversees American military operations across the Pacific Ocean, much of the Indian Ocean, and parts of the Arctic region. The Pentagon currently considers the Pacific its top priority of operations and sees China to be its main rival, but Russia is still a major player in the region. Meanwhile, cases of COVID-19 in Guam's military community have nearly doubled in less than a week, though most cases are mild or are exhibiting no symptoms at all. U.S. Naval Hospital Guam reported over 450 positive test results. Of those, only about 150 are civilians. Guam itself is seeing a record number of new COVID-19 cases, but hospitalizations remain low and symptoms thus far are mild. Guam remains under a mask mandate. Social gatherings are limited to 25 indoors and 100 outdoors. Proof of vaccination is required before entering restaurants, bars, and gyms. No new restrictions or policy changes are planned for the time being. Guam is increasing outreach for testing and vaccinations. Testing has been ramped up to 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. By appointment and after-school vaccination clinics are open around the island to serve families. An 82nd Airborne Division paratrooper was cleared of all charges related to a deadly 2020 gunfight in Syria between U.S. troops and forces loyal to President al-Assad. Sergeant First Class Robert Nicholson initially faced 2 counts of failure to obey an order, 2 counts of reckless endangerment, 1 count of communicating threats, and 3 counts of obstructing justice. The Army brought the charges approximately 8 months after the August 2020 battle with Syrian regime loyalists at a checkpoint in the country's northeast. More than 20 witnesses testified before a combat-experienced jury made up of 2 lieutenant colonels and 6 command sergeants major. One of those counts was dropped during the trial's evidence phase, and Nicholson was found not guilty on the 7 remaining charges after a nearly week-long court-martial trial at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. In other recent court-martial news, a Fort Bliss judge has delayed a trial for a soldier charged with the murder for the death of a child. Sergeant Justin Cope is charged in the death of a child in El Paso in 2019. Cope also faces an aggravated assault charge from events in 2017 that involved a second child in Germany, according to an Army charging sheet. Cope is accused of causing the death of a child younger than 16 years old, according to the Army's charging document. Authorities have said the child suffered head trauma on or about February 10, 2019. Cope is also accused of causing head trauma of a second child in December 2017. The names and ages of the victims and their relationship to Cope were not included in the documents provided by Fort Bliss officials. The documents also do not include Cope's age or whether he has been placed in pre-trial confinement. Ingalls Shipbuilding launched the latest in its line of amphibious assault transport ships, the LPD-29. The USS Richard M. McCool Jr. is the 13th in the San Antonio class of amphibious assault force ships. Ingalls is the nation's sole builder of the San Antonio class state-of-the-art ships designed to support U.S. amphibious assault special operations and expeditionary warfare missions in the 21st century. LPD-29 is the first U.S. Navy ship named in honor of World War II hero Richard M. McCool Jr., who was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. McCool was the commanding officer of infantry landing support craft at the Battle of Okinawa in June 1945. McCool also served in both the Korean and Vietnam Wars and retired from the Navy with the rank of captain in 1974. ending a distinguished 30-year career. He died of natural causes in 2008 at the age of 86. Finally, the USS Orlick, a former U.S. Navy destroyer that saw combat in the Korean and Vietnam Wars, is heading to Jacksonville, Florida to begin a new life as a floating military museum. The Jacksonville Historic Naval Ship Association has acquired the ship, and it will soon be Jacksonville bound after passing a seaworthiness inspection. The 390-foot ship has a long and colorful history. It is a Gearing-class destroyer that was built in Texas and launched in May of 1945, near the end of World War II, at a cost of $6.3 million. It operated as part of the 7th Fleet during the Korean War, then underwent extensive renovations under the Navy's Fleet Rehabilitation and Maintenance Program in 1962. During the Vietnam War, it earned the nickname Gray Ghost of the Vietnam Coast and fired more rounds in support of ground troops than any ship in the Navy. The ship earned 18 battle stars, 4 during the Korean conflict and 14 during the fighting in Vietnam. The converted ship museum will focus on the U.S. Navy during the Vietnam era. And that is all for this edition of Stars and Stripes in 7. I'm Lamont Easter, helping you stay connected.